Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Alright, so we are continuing with the book of 2 Kings and today we are going to be covering 2 Kings chapter 20. Again, if you haven't read this chapter, please pause this recording and read the chapter for yourself just so that you understand what is happening in the chapter before you listen to my takeouts and the summary of the chapter. If you're here for the very first time, please subscribe. Please click the notification bell so that you never miss anything that goes up. Share this with someone else, invite someone else to join the Bible summary as well, just so that we can all learn from the Word of God. I am hoping and trusting that you have already paused, listened to the chapter, chapter 20 of 2 Kings, and you are ready to listen to the summary. So this chapter is a chapter that heads straight from of course, it's a continuation of the story of King Hezekiah. It's a continuation of the story of King Hezekiah from when God has given him the victory against the nation of Assyria, and now he's back home and he is unwell. So the chapter starts with him being very unwell, almost like on his deathbed. And then Isaiah comes to him and brings him a message that he should put his house in order because he's not going to get well. When King Hezekiah hears this, he turns to God and he prays for healing. And in this prayer, he actually recounts of his faithfulness, he recounts of his service to God, and he recounts of how he has been single-minded about worshiping and doing what pleases God. God hears him and he immediately answers him with an extra 15 years and also promises to rescue him completely from the Assyrians. So Hezekiah, of course, as we would all do, asks for a sign that proves that God has actually heard him and that God is actually going to heal him. So God gives him a sign, and by moving his shadow 10 steps behind, like if you stand in the sun, the shadow is going to be right next to you. It's going to be slightly front, slightly on the side, slightly on the left side, or slightly at the back. But in this sign that God gave Hezekiah, the shadow was 10 steps behind him. That's almost creepy, but I mean, it was a sign from God. So God gives him a sign, and Hezekiah is happy, and he's going to live for an extra 15 years. In his lifetime, he also receives, it's this specific time when he just become well, he receives visitors from Babylon. And honestly, he shows them everything, and that is just an expression of just how he disregarded wisdom, he disregarded the security of the nation. He went and showed these Babylonian visitors everything that was in the temple, everything that was in the palace, where he used to put his armor. Like, he showed these guys everything. And when Isaiah came and asked Hezekiah, who are those people that had come to visit you and what have you shown them? Hezekiah was like, oh, there were people from Babylon, and I have shown them everything. I've shown them all the treasures in the temple, where I put all the treasures in the palace. I've shown them where we put all our weapons. As in, seriously, was complete lack of wisdom and a disregard of security. So Isaiah told him, these people that you have shown these things, these people of Babylon, the Lord has said that they will come and take everything that you have shown them. Kila kitu yenye umewaonyesha itakuwa yao. Everything that you have shown them will one day become theirs. And isitoshe, they will exile the people of Jerusalem. They will exile your sons as well, and they will go and serve in their kingdom. They will go and serve in their nation, and they will go and serve the king of Babylon. Which actually is very weird because of how Hezekiah responds to that prophecy. He says, okay, the word of the Lord is good enough. At least, haitafanyika in my reign. At least by the time I am dying, there will still be peace. He was just like, me, at least by the time these things are happening, me, I'll be dead and long gone. That was actually his response, which was pretty weird, almost like a little bit selfish. But also, it's not unheard of because I've seen people respond to things the same way. I'll probably, in one instance or two, have responded to something the same way. So Hezekiah lived his 15 years and he died, and then his son became the next king. So what can we learn from this chapter? First, I feel like God gives people who are faithful a chance to put their houses in order before they die. I mean, if you look at people like even Abraham, if you look at people like Moses, if you look at people like Joshua, Kina David, they didn't die. I mean, even Jacob, they didn't die like this. Even Joseph, they just didn't die abruptly. The Bible says that they called their sons together, they gave them blessings, they spoke to the people they had. We see a lot of last prayers, last prophecies or rather last blessings from these people who were faithful to God. I feel like really people who are faithful to God don't die immature deaths, don't die, they don't die like in surprise. It doesn't catch them by surprise. They don't just wake up one day and they are dead, or they have like, I'm not like the best to speak about death. I have lost both my parents. But I feel like even for my parents, I mean, there's a point my mom used to say, I am going, I'm not coming back, stuff like that. I don't feel like people who have been faithful to God just die abruptly. I feel like God gives them a chance to put the house in order, or God kind of notifies them, your life is coming to an end. But anyway, that's just a thought. I'm just putting it out there. I know that could hurt many people. That could be like, hey, Wakejo, what are you saying? But that is what I just saying from what I've seen as examples from the Bible, that God has given people who have been faithful to him a chance to put their houses in order before they die, a chance to bless their children, a chance to speak their last wisdom, a chance to speak their last words before they actually die. All right, something else that I realized is that that Hezekiah had a chance to bargain with God. Hezekiah was like, Aki, no, me, I don't want to die. I don't want to die from this sickness. I want to live. Like he had such a willingness to live that he actually went on to bargain with God. And I like the fact that he actually had things to bargain with God with. Sometimes I wonder, like, if God came to me and, I had a disaster that was happening in my life, would I have something to go and take to God and say, okay, but God, me, I've been faithful, but okay, God, me, I've served you, but okay, God, me, I've done, like, Hezekiah actually went straight to God and told God, I have been faithful. He actually bargained with three things: his faithfulness to the Lord, his service to the Lord, and the way that he had been single-minded about worshiping God. It had been a very long time between Hezekiah and all the previous kings. It had been a very long time before someone actually had destroyed all the Asherah poles. Someone had actually put down all the idol worship shrines and all the places that the idol worship was happening. Hezekiah was one of those kings who actually did that. And I'm not surprised that God rewarded him with 15 extra years. I'm not surprised that God rewarded him with victory over Assyrians. I'm not surprised that even in the rest of his life that he lived a peaceful life. Like there was no battle. The Assyrians had been defeated. Like he actually lived in a peaceful those 15 years. And even I think even in his reign, he actually lived a peaceful and victorious and successful. He had a successful reign for as long as he was king, because he was a faithful king. So maybe the thing is to ask ourselves is, do we have something that we can bargain with God with? It is not, we have something that we can take to God and say, Aki, God, but look, Aki, me, I have been faithful, but look, me, I have been tithing, but look, me, I've been giving, but look, me, I've been, sharing your word, but look, me, I've been, that is a place for you to. I'm not, by the way, again, these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. You can have your own thoughts, but these are my thoughts. I really like the fact that God rewarded him, of course, for his faithfulness, for even just being able to just say, I want to live. Me nataka kuishi. I don't want to just accept the fact that that God has said I will die. Me, I want to live. Like, have you seen someone who has wanted so much to live, have fought so much for their life, even on their deathbed? I feel like God really rewards that as well. One of the things that are really disappointing about Hezekiah is the fact that he shows a lack of wisdom when he's showing the Babylonians everything. Me, I don't even know what came over him. Like, kwa nini anaonyesha Babylonians mpaka pahali ameweka his swords and his armor? He showed where his treasures are. Like, every place he's put his treasures, all the treasures in the temple, all the treasures in the palace. Like, why would he do this? It makes Zero sense. But then again, maybe he does this so that God can be able to actually say, you see, everything that you have shown those guys, those Babylonians, they will come and take it. Everything that you have shown, they will come and take it, and they will exile the nation, this kingdom of Judah, including your sons as well. Maybe that was the purpose. But also I find it very interesting that Hezekiah responds to Isaiah after Isaiah says, oh, everything you've shown them, they will come and take. And he says, mimi at least by the time mimi nakufa kukiwa na amani. Hizo ni mashida za watu wa baadaye. Sometimes I feel like it's that way, even with us. Sometimes I see as we are, we are causing pollution everywhere. We are littering everywhere. And sometimes when you think about it, people are just like, okay, hizo ni mashida za watu wenye watakuja baadaye. And even sometimes when you ask, like, let's do something to help the environment, let's plant trees, let's do what? The fact that you will not see the fruits of what you have done in this generation probably will be seen by the next generation makes you very uninterested to do anything. But I pray that even in your natural spaces, that you're praying for your children, that you're changing things in your life for the sake of the next generation, that you're not just doing things for your own sake, for just the fact that me in the next 20 years or 50 years I will not be here. So mimi sijali, but I pray that you're doing things for the sake of the next generation, things that the next generation will enjoy. I mean, it would have been nice if Hezekiah actually, asked God for forgiveness for the sake of the next generation, for his sake, not just to think of his generation only, but for the sake of the other generation. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.